Welcome back. For this week's Vibrant Living segment, I'm joined by Anthony and Caroline from our sponsors at Woods Oviatt Gilman with information on how they can help you with your estate planning. Welcome, you two. Thanks for joining me.
Thanks for having us.
Of course. Well, Caroline, last time you were here, we talked about the misconceptions when it comes to, and mistakes as well, when it comes to estate planning. Do you want to remind us of some of those?
Sure. First question is, do I really need an estate plan? And our answer is, if you're an adult with assets, everyone needs an estate plan. You're not too old to do an estate plan, not too young if you're an adult, and it's almost never too late. Sometimes people think that they've reached a point and it's too late, but we have different options to help people. A common mistake area can be not reviewing your estate plan with major life changes. So if you get married, if you get divorced, if you have a baby, additionally, if you have a major illness you've been diagnosed with, either you, yourself, or your spouse has a disability, that's something that has to be incorporated with how assets are distributed or how things are handled during life. And if you're a business owner, that's even more of an importance because there's more people involved with what happens with business succession or what happens to the business with death and disability.
Okay, let's get into what a business owner should be made aware of if they do not have an estate plan.
Well, I think there's lots of examples of things that could happen, but I think maybe the simplest and most common one is where you have a business with two owners. For example, Jack and Bill are 50-50 owners, and there's no succession plan or no agreement in place. Upon the death of Bill, Jack's new partner might be Bill's spouse, which will create potential dynamics that might not be good.
Right, you got to think of those things. What are some unique elements that can be used in an estate plan, especially for business owners?
There's no one-size-fits-all answer for everybody. It tends to be a case-by-case set of facts, but I think a simple starting point is what's called a buy-sell agreement, which is basically just that. It talks about, at what events, upon what events occurring, will there be a purchase or option to purchase, at what price, at what sort of payment terms, will life insurance be involved, in trying to weigh and balance the needs of the company to maintain cash flow and then give liquidity to the estate of the deceased person.
Let's talk about the role trust can play in estate planning.
Sure. Trust can handle and help with many things, some of them being accessibility of the business assets right away. We're not looking at a probate process that here in Erie County can be typically even 6 months, which assets are not able to be accessed if there isn't something else in place that allows that to be done. Additionally, what can be done is assets can be protected. It can also help with tax planning, and I don't know if you want to add anything, Anthony, to that.
Well, I think tax planning and making sure you know what the taxes will be upon death and having that certainty is very important.
Let's talk about what someone can expect if they reach out to you and need help with estate planning for their business.
Sure. We will talk about what they're looking for, what had someone call us for. Sometimes it's if it's a business owner, it's what do I do, and sometimes that's their first question. We often have a short discussion. We'll give them a questionnaire that talks about their assets. I'll include Anthony into that conversation of what additional information that he'd need. And we meet with the client together and we talk about what they would like to happen in the event of death and disability. We draft documents. There's plenty of time to review them to make sure that that's really what they want to do. And then we sign, and it could be a multi-stage process or a short process, depending on what's involved.
What do you think sets Woods Oviatt Gilman apart when it comes to helping others with this process?
Well, I think there's pros and cons to aging, and one of the pros is experience.
Yeah.
The more I have aged, the more experience I've had. So experience goes a long
Definitely.
way, and also accessibility.
Yeah.
You know, with phones and emails and texting, we are very accessible.
When it comes to estate planning, it can sometimes feel grim because you're thinking about the unimaginable and the unexpected and what life would be like for your family and loved ones and business when you're not here. But also at the same time, you have to think about it in a positive way, as you want to make sure that you have autonomy over the decisions that happen even after you're gone, and also thinking about what are the best things for the people around you, right?
And while you're alive. I mean, some of what we help with is, as you age, it's not always fun to age, right? And you want to be as autonomous for as long as you want and have the most control over what happens to you, what happens to your assets, for your health. And so we help with that process to make sure there's a plan in place that your trusted individuals that will help you live the most autonomous life that you can for as long as you can.
Well, thank you so much for coming in and sharing more about this topic. Viewers, if you'd like to get in touch with our sponsors at Wood, Oviatt, Gilman for help with your estate planning, you can email Caroline and Anthony or call the numbers right there on your screen. Thanks again for coming in.
Thank you,
you.
Chelsea.